Mark Grayson, aka Invincible, is having a literal spiritual crisis in episode 4, and he may have had a little bit of a breakthrough. So come talk nerdy with me about Invincible's journey through hell. Spoilers ahead. So just like in episodes 1 and 3, Invincible is still on the struggle bus after unaliving that astronaut who was under the control of the Sequids. Invincible's been going through a lot lately, but because he's feeling this urge to start unaliving his opponents, he believes that he is becoming more like his father, and believes it's time for him to stop being invincible before he goes too far. And I really appreciate what Art says to him here. Just the fact that Invincible is feeling guilt and feeling remorse about taking those lives or attempting to take lives means that he's already a much better man than Omni-Man ever was. Art also gave Invincible the same response that I gave in the previous Invincible video, basically saying that if I was the astronaut, I would be okay with being taken out if it meant saving the world. Great minds think alike. Despite the pep talk though, Invincible is still feeling that he made the wrong decision. And yeah, you can argue that that dome was gonna break and there was nothing else he can do, but Invincible is still struggling. Like, what if there was a third option? And he gets more into that later on when he gets summoned to hell by Damien Darkblood, who we haven't seen since season 1. I guess Darkblood was using a ritual using the blood of Omni-Man in an attempt to summon Omni-Man to hell, but the spell got confused somehow because it's similar DNA and it brought Invincible instead. And being summoned into hell is definitely not helpful for Mark's current mental state. He was just like, oh, I guess the spell couldn't tell me and my dad apart because I'm such an awful person. I was like, oh, come on, Mark, please don't do that to yourself. Don't dig yourself into a deeper hole than the one you're literally in. You get it? Because, you know, he's in hell. Speaking of hell, it's technically not called hell, but called the underwrem, and it's a lot different than what humanity thinks it is. I mean, it is fire and brimstone and has a bunch of demons, but outside of that, for instance, the souls of the damned aren't sent there once they die. Instead, the underwrem serves as like a prison for these creatures called the vile. And these vile creatures are so dangerous that if they were left to their own devices, they would eventually go up to Earth and just wipe out everyone. So to prevent them from doing that, demons will torture the vile 24/7. So in this situation, the demons are the protectors of humanity, which is a weird thing to say. And Satan is the king of the underwrem, but when he doesn't have his fiery crown, which gives him his powers, he's just like a little creepy goblin dude. But with his crowd, he's big, he's scary, and he's kinda a weirdo. But the reason why Damien Darkblood summoned Invincible into hell was because they need Invincible's help to stop this evil lava lady called Volcanica, great name, who wants to rule hell and release the vials so that they could rise up and destroy the earth. Why does she want to do that? As of right now, it's still a mystery. But I love the discussion between Invincible and Damien Darkblood, you know, while Invincible is still grasping with the idea that he's in hell, and he's talking to Darkblood about how he just doesn't want this life anymore. He's sick and tired of having to take lives. And honestly, I get that because yes, of course there are some villains that are just too far gone and they got to go, but it still must take a huge toll on a person when they take a life. Especially if you're a nice guy like Invincible, like this kid's trying to do his best. But I like Darkblood's argument where he compares Invincible's dilemma to the existence of the demons. Absolutely, torture is a bad thing, but if the demons don't torture the vile, then the vile will destroy the entire earth, and that's much worse. It's very much a lesser of two evils argument. Either Invincible takes out a supervillain, or that supervillain takes millions of innocent lives. But once again, like with his argument with Art, Invincible is not satisfied with this or that situation. He's looking for a third option. And I feel like this is going to be Invincible's journey throughout the rest of the series, finding that elusive third option. And I have a feeling when he does find it, he's going to be able to create a perfect utopia. But until he finds that third option, I think Invincible is just going to start employing what I call the Mark method, which simply states, if you gotta go, you gotta go. because when he fights Volcanica, he just immediately pops her head open. Like, it was crazy. He's just no hesitation whatsoever. She had to go. But then he immediately feels guilty and he tries to justify, like, no, she said she was gonna threaten millions of people, like I had to do it. And I'm just like, Invincible, chill, it's okay. You're in the clear on this one. But the funny thing I loved is when she just kept on regenerating, her head would just grow back. So Invincible would just punch her again, and then she just fall, and then she gets back up, so he kicks her head off. I wanted it to go a lot longer than it did. And honestly, fighting a villain that just regenerates like that was probably very therapeutic for Invincible. And I think after defeating Volcanica and helping Satan regain control of Hell, which is a weird sentence to say when talking about a superhero series, I think Invincible is gonna start coming to terms with using the Mark method when it comes to villains like Volcanica who are threatening a lot of people. It's just like Cecil said, you can be the good guy or you can be the guy that saves the world. But I also think he's not gonna stop looking for that elusive third option. And you know what? This episode reminded me just how powerful Invincible really is, because I'm so used to seeing him fighting Viltrumites or evil versions of himself that I see him as like, you know, he gets beat up a lot, but he's trying his best. But when he fights literally anyone else, it is light work for him. Like when he was first summoned to Hell and he sees Satan and just immediately starts throwing hands. He was just like, oh, that's Satan? Raw, and just chokes him. Like, bro. Or later on when he has to fight Cerberus to get Satan's fiery crown, and you don't even see the fight happen. You're just watching Damien Darkblood as he's like falling down the pit, and you hear Invincible. It sounds like he's struggling, but nope. He's just beating up this three-headed dog off screen. I'm like, dude. Or like when he was fighting Volcanica, just how effortlessly he was doing it. And remind you, Volcanica beat Satan in a fight. She was beating up Damien Darkblood and his whole family, even though they were jumping her. Like, she was effortlessly wiping them out. And then Invincible just comes in and just backhands her head off. It just makes me grateful, and I'm pretty sure all the characters in the series grateful, that Invincible is a good guy and not just some straight up murderous psychopath. But my favorite part of the episode is the end, when he dons his classic blue and yellow costume again, and you just see the joy light up in him again. Like, of course, he's still down and struggling about the lives that he had to take, but I feel like now that he has this goal of finding that elusive third option, that goal of finding a better way of doing things, gives him hope again. But in the meantime, he's gonna have to use the Mark method probably a lot, because Omni-Man has returned to Earth and he's trying to recruit Invincible to join him in the war against the Viltrumites, who are definitely enemies that you can't just simply negotiate with. They got to go. And I can't end this video without talking about my homegirl Eve and how she is pregnant with Mark's baby. And at first I was worried that they weren't using protection. Like, come on, you live in this messed up universe, why would you not use protection? But I guess they did. Accidents happen. And honestly, I was kind of frustrated with Eve because she was kind of holding back on telling Mark for the longest time that she was pregnant. And thankfully, the GOAT, William, was able to talk her out of that. Like, hey girl, do you love Mark? You should probably tell him you're pregnant then. Is Eve telling him that she's pregnant gonna overwhelm him in that moment? Absolutely, but he still should know, and that might actually be beneficial for him for when he does go off to war against the Viltrumites. Imagine how much harder Invincible's gonna fight in the coming war when he has the knowledge that he has a child waiting for him at home and he needs to get back home to them. But I want to hear your thoughts. Do you think Eve should tell Invincible that she's pregnant? And what do you think of Invincible's moral dilemma about taking the lives of supervillains? And if you hadn't had a chance to talk with me about the season premiere of Invincible, click on the video right here, and I'll see you in a bit.